Hi everybody, welcome back to Mandolin lessons. In this lesson I'm going to be looking at right hand technique. Number one rule in my book for right hand technique is to stay nice and loose. If your hand and wrist and elbow and shoulder and muscles and tendons and all that are really loose and not stressed out, your music's going to be a lot cleaner, a lot smoother. It's just going to sound better. So the way I jump into right hand technique is I don't have a pick in my hand. Just kind of drop my arm, shake it out a little bit, and just let it hang there. And when my hand's hanging down, it's off camera now, but it's just kind of in this loose fist. It's not flat out like a board, and it's not a fist like you're punching something, but it's just a nice, nice loose shape, kind of a loosely closed fist. And what I do is in that shape, I'm trying to do this all on camera, is I take the pick, my thumb's kind of sitting on my forefinger here, and I just take the pick, drop it right in so the point is facing sort of up towards the headstock of the instrument, and it just kind of sits right in there. Everyone plays with a little differently in terms of how much pick they leave out. Some people leave a lot, some people leave a little. I like these big triangular picks because they give you a lot to hold on to, and I leave about that much out. So that's sort of my right hand pick holding. And again, you want to be nice and loose. When you're gripping the pick, you don't want to hold it too tight because that'll sort of tense up the sound you're able to make. I'd much rather see people dropping their picks because they're holding them so loose that they fall out of their hands than holding them so tight. If you're holding it so tight that you're never going to drop it, it's going to sound like that. Whereas if it's a nice loose hold, it can be a nice loose, open, smooth sound. So that's there's the pick holding part. You want your wrist to be nice and straight. You don't want to be tipping your wrist in or pushing it out like that. I don't recommend planting your right hand anywhere. Occasionally I'll kind of brush behind the bridge with my sort of the palm of my hand, or the whatever that part of my hand is. Just a little bit behind the bridge just to sort of let my hand know where everything's placed without me having to look down and get a visual cue of where my hand is. So it just kind of can sit behind the bridge. If you're over the bridge, you start muting the strings. But if you're behind the bridge, get a nice clean sound. But again, you don't want to be pushing down or anything on the instrument because that'll tense up your muscles and that'll tense up the music. Continuing down the arm, I tend to hold the instrument just sort of lightly resting my forearm on the side of the instrument. You see I have I don't know if you can quite see it in the video, but I've got an armrest here. It's an option. I enjoy armrests. I feel they kind of put the instrument in a good placement for a nice clean kind of playing posture. And when I'm holding the instrument, I'll center myself here. I can just sort of, if my arm sits kind of loosely against the instrument and the back of the instrument sits against me, my left arm doesn't have to do any work. It's just kind of sitting at this nice angled position, and my left hand is free. That way your left hand doesn't have to hold the instrument and can sort of just focus on it, playing the right notes. So left arm, forearms kind of holding the instrument there. Elbows nice and loose. Don't want it to be tightened up. Your shoulder, you don't want your shoulder to be way, I'm running out of space here. You don't want your shoulder to be out. You don't want it to be too far in or tense, too far forward or back. Just a nice middle ground. So, in terms of picking, you've got this nice loose posture now, and when the pick goes through the strings, And this is a little different for everybody. Some people play where the pick goes through the strings straight parallel like this, right through the strings, flat side against the strings. I recommend both having the instrument at a little bit of an angle and then also having the pick go through the strings at a bit of an angle. So it's not quite 45 degrees. So rather, I'll zoom in here, the pick's kind of going through the strings like that. A lot of people will do sort of tipped, so the side of the pick closest to the headstock is going through the strings first. Some people play with sort of a reverse angle so that the pick, this is hard to do with this camera, goes through backwards. And that's fine if it's really comfortable for you, but for most people it's most comfortable to have sort of the left-hand side of the pick, or the side closest to the headstock, going through the strings first. And that gives it a smoother sound. It sort of can, rather than just having this sort of flat, it gives it a little more pick thwack if you're going parallel through the strings, whereas if you angle it a little bit, you get the pick can kind of glide over the strings a little easier. So experiment with that, how much angle you're giving the instrument, how much angle the pick is at when it's going through the strings, and just sort of see what sounds best. Also experimenting with where you're going through the strings, whether it's down here or way up sort of over the fretboard, or somewhere in between. They all give you different sounds. There's no right or wrong sound, but just sort of experiment with where it sounds best to you, and where it's most comfortable for you to play. And that'll go a long way in just creating a nice sound. And the better the sound is to listen to, the more you'll want to practice, and the easier and more fun it'll be to play. And your music will really progress naturally. So that's all for right hand for now. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try to get back to you. There's more lessons over at mandolessons.com. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.